One, two, three. What's up, everybody? Wellness Week Live. I am your host, Anthony, the DJ. It says it right there. Hey, bullying. Dun, dun, dun. Look, I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not giving any medical advice or legal advice. Always check with your healthcare professional. So listen, bullying. It's always a problem, been a problem since Adam and Eve, since cavemen. I mean, it is what it is. Not right, but bullying is a interesting thing. So I've been talking to some friends of mine of late, people that I know, and it's become a pattern or a theme with a lot of the guys I know and their sons, particularly. Could be some daughters in there, but usually the bullying thing, I think when we think of bullying, we think of the movie where the big kid, punches the little kid, and that happens. But bullying could also be mean girl stuff, like where psychological warfare, which can be worse than physical. So, but I want to touch base and talk about bullying because, look, I think, like I said, it's been around since cavemen. And I think that, I know for a fact every human on Earth has either been bullied and or done some bullying. It's not right either way. It's not right to bully, but I think, again, when we think of the panaceum, the umbrella of bullying, because like I said, it's not just physical. It could be mental, it could be financial, it could be spiritual, it could be a whole. It's a big spectrum and a big umbrella. I think if we go by those parameters, everybody has been bullied and everybody has bullied on some shape, form, fashion, or way. And so, but let's talk about, the classic case. So I've been talking to some of my guy friends or guy people that I know, and they're like, yeah, my son, he got this kid, whatever, bumped into him every day at 2:00. Kid bumps into him, or kid pushes him, or kid punches him, whatever. Kid slaps him, or kid takes his lunch, whatever. And so I tell my guy friends, I say, look, number one, you got to let your kid fight their own fight. You can advise your son or daughter, but you know, you know, and if you have to talk to the teacher or the principal, but you really don't want to talk to the principal or teacher unless it's something that's going to be dangerous. If it's something like, he keeps pushing my shoulder every day at 2:00, okay, that's not good. And I think it's incumbent upon us as parents to talk to our son or daughter and how to navigate that, how to handle that. I'm not advocating violence, but I would say don't tell your kid to go tell a teacher, because then you're going to make your kid's life a living hell. Because word gets around, and and then it's you got a big problem. So teach your kid how to defend themselves verbally, or stick up for themselves, if they have to fight. That's what karate is for, and jujitsu, and boxing, and wrestling. And again, we're not advocating violence, but I hear stories of boys, getting pushed or getting punched. It's a tough decision. Like, what do you do, right? I mean, you know, uh, if your kid is getting physically assaulted, I don't mean like bludgeoned to death. I mean like, oh, they bumped into me every day at 1:45 p.m. on the way out of lunch. I always get bumped by this kid. It's like, you obviously first you're gonna tell them, what are you gonna tell them? Like, don't do it, right? Hey, stop, don't bump into me anymore. Now you know what that's gonna do, right? When a kid tells a kid that, the kid's gonna keep doing it. It's even worse. So that's how kids operate. So, and we're all kids once, right? And we are brothers and our sisters and our cousins, right? What happens, right? When you tell a kid not to do something, you might as well tell them, please do it. So you can bump them back. Again, I wouldn't run to the teacher because then you're going to have the whole school against you, and your nightmare really starts. But maybe you can tell that kid, hey, look, please don't do that. And I mean, if you want, yeah, I mean, just you have to prepare your sons, especially for worst case scenario. And again, I know that not everybody has money, but getting them involved in karate or jujitsu and things like that is important. Or there's a thing called YouTube. You're watching it now. Ton of great content on YouTube. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to learn how to defend yourself, how to defend a tackle, or how to slip a punch, or how to take a punch, how to give a punch, So again, not advocating violence, but I'm advocating self-defense. And again, like, you could tell the teacher, tell your son, go tell the teacher you're getting pushed. You could do that, but you better prepare your son to fight, because more than likely, then another kid is going to jump in and accelerate this. That's how the world works. So you're gonna have to teach your son or daughter, or give them permission to fight for themselves, or push back, or not to start. The old adage, don't start it but finish it. So again, not looking for trouble, but I mean, like, what do you do if your son gets tackled? You can go tell a teacher, but the tackling already happened. And now what? They get punched or kicked. Now what? Just sit there and lay there? Like, they have to learn how to physically fight for themselves, boys and girls. And again, don't want to start fights, but if you're getting fit now, again, getting pushed, bumped every day in the shoulder, take a different route, whatever, try to avoid it. What if you just all of a sudden just get tackled and kicked and punched? That's happened to me. I didn't do anything when I was a kid, when I was in third grade, fourth grade, or fifth grade, to have that happen. And now what do I do? You know what I'm saying? So what are you going to do? You can call your lawyer? You call your lawyer after the fact. But what are you going to do at the moment where you're getting tackled and kicked? Then what? Fight back? Good. Tell your kid to fight back. You know what I mean? That's what you should do. You fight back to get out of the situation, not sit there and bludgeon the kid back. But, to get out of the situation, you're going to have to fight. Or you have to be prepared to do that. It's like a seatbelt, right? We don't want to get into a car crash, but we have to have the seatbelt to defend ourselves from a crash, death. Anyways, my point is, I also told a couple of my friends, I said, they were kind of mad because, like, well, my son didn't fight back. My son didn't push the kid back, or my son didn't, nudge the kid back with the shoulder back, and they were a little bit upset about that because they felt like their sons were getting, punked and being little sissies. And I said to them, look, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. That's number one. But two, I said, I thought to myself, which I didn't tell them this, but I just thought this. This is why I want to do this episode. We're so worried as men about the physical bullying, like, my son got pushed in the shoulder, or, every day the kid kicks my son's foot in third grade. Oh my God, my son didn't kick back, or whatever it is, like, us men are only worried about the physical bullying. There's different types of bullying, right? What about mental bullying? What are you going to tell your son if he gets mentally bullied, where, someone shows him up and doesn't say, "Oh, you're stupid," but is challenging them with common sense, or challenging their arguments? No, I don't. Like, your kid's in 10th grade, what? And he's getting, quote unquote, intellectually bullied. Now what? What are you going to do? So it seems like there's only one type of bullying out there. There's a lot of different types of bullying. So you should talk to your son about also mental bullying. What happens when you're getting challenged intellectually, and someone says, "Hey, Johnny, I don't think that you're right about that, because in 1784 they did this, the law. So yeah, you're wrong." Oh, but maybe that person who's saying about 1784, 1764 doesn't fully know the story. So like that. So you have to tell your son or daughter to what? Sit there and take it? No, right? You would what? So you should talk to them about being mentally bullied too. Now, mentally bullied is not illegal. Physical bullying is illegal, technically, right? An assault is an assault. But if someone's challenging you and making you look stupid, and what? Again, I'm not talking about heckling. I'm not talking about demeaning. I'm just talking about, proving you wrong statistically on something, or challenging your statistics or what you think. Now what? What are you going to do now? Because that's mentally bullying. What? What? So you should talk to your kid about that. You should talk to your kid about financial bullying. What if somebody, has more money and always gets to call the shots in their little group when they're, 17, 18, when they're 15, whatever? What are you going to do? Money is power. That's the type of bullying. What? You're only worried about that little kick or that punch or that push, where most of the world is not physical bullying. It's financial bullying. It's mental bullying. It's sexual bullying. I'm not talking about rape. I'm talking about your son's got a girlfriend. He's in high school or whatever, college maybe, and the girlfriend's like, "Hey, look, if you don't do this for me, I'm not sleeping with you anymore, or I'm not going to be seeing you anymore." That's a type of sexual bullying. That is manipulation. That is exploitation. That's a type of bullying. Or if the guy says that, hey, if you don't do this, then I'm not going to do that. What do you tell your daughter? Like, again, that's a type of bullying. It's mental / sexual bullying. Yeah, and again, I'm not talking about rape. I'm talking about people exploiting and using leverage for things, because that's what really bullying is. It's exploiting somebody or challenging somebody in the physical realm, but there's also the mental realm. There's the spiritual realm. Let's talk about spiritual bullying. Someone's your rabbi, your imam, your pastor, your priest. Oh, they're perfect. They know everything. I could never challenge them, ask a question. I could never challenge them, even though, oh my God, I know they're wrong about this, but it says it right here in our book, our holy book, and they're saying something different. But they're coming on strong, and I dare I say anything to this pastor, priest, rabbi, imam, nun, that's the type of bullying, when you can't speak truth to power. Again, how do you handle that? So we're only worried about the bullying that is the shoulder shrug, the shoulder push. That's the only bullying we're worried about. The only bullying we're worried about is that punch, and we got to answer the physical punch. But most of life is not physical bullying. So I would say prepare your kids for mental bullying, spiritual bullying, sexual bullying, bullying from family. Again, not physical now. Just, you have a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent who's so headstrong, and dare you ever speak against what they have to say, even when they're clearly wrong. That's the type of bullying, you know. You can I know I've had family members where when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, in my 20s, only until I got really out of on my own and I had my own agency, my own money. Money is power, and you're on your own. Now I'm 50. Anybody in my family, I don't care, grandparent, aunt, uncle, mother, father, whoever, I'm talking about older people now, that when I was 15 or when I was 25, and I wouldn't dare question. Matter of fact, you got people now that are in their 50s and 60s that would never dare question daddy's word when daddy's clearly wrong about whatever. Well, why wouldn't you challenge your daddy? That's the type of bullying. So we should teach our kids about that too. Just because someone has a title doesn't mean that they're always right. And so people with titles can bully too, and they don't even know they're bullying, but they're bullying. And I think that goes down the line. Anything physical, mental, spiritual, even kids who are physically bullying sometimes don't even realize they're physically bullying. They think that they're just roughhousing or fooling around, and maybe they are, maybe they're not. And maybe somebody has, again, intellectually, they're making a scene against your kid, and maybe they're right, maybe they're not, but your son or your daughter feels pressured or bullied, but they don't have whatever it is to intellectually answer back. So we have to teach our kids how to defend themselves intellectually, and also against authority when authority is wrong. So I'm not saying get violent. I'm not saying be disrespectful, but how to defend yourself. So yeah, bullying is a very ubiquitous, prolific spectrum of a situation. It's again. So I think it's very myopic when a father only thinks of, "Hey, that kid, he pushed my kid. I don't for that one there. He don't bully my kid." Meanwhile, your son's getting bullied every which way to Sunday, mentally, spiritually, sexually from his girlfriend in high school. You know what I mean? It's like you getting manipulated, by so it's like, what about that? So I think we really need to talk to our sons and daughters about what is bullying, and all the different faces of it, and how it can be detrimental, and also to be aware that our kids aren't bullies, because I don't think any child, usually when you think of bullying, you think of children bullying, like, oh, this 8-year-old, this 10-year-old, this 15-year-old. Those are kids. Especially when you hear the stories of little Johnny. He's 8, 9, 10, and he's getting pushed around by a fellow little Johnny who's 8, 9, 10. These are children. Children are they're children. They're not evil. You know what I mean? And little Johnnies that are 7, 8, 9, 10, they don't wake up in the morning saying, "How can I bully?" They just do crap, and they're not even aware sometimes. So I think it's also incumbent upon us as parents to talk to our boys and girls about mean girl stuff, about the boys bullying, what it is, to be a bully, and why, and what behaviors constitute bullying and what is bullying. Because again, you more than likely have a look again. 7, 8, 9, 10, they're children. They're all good. And it's really the parents that have to educate their kids. Hey, look, this is what bullying is. So you shouldn't do it if you are doing these types of behaviors, little Johnny, little Jane. And also, if you're getting bullied, this is what that looks like too. So, and also to know the difference between bullying and just joking around, because you'll have a lot of people, a lot of kids, if the parent doesn't educate them correctly about what is bullying, they can make children victims out of something that's just innocuous and innocent, like a joke. So you don't want your child to walk around on eggshells either. At the bookends, we know what bullying is. Hey, look, randomly you got punched in the face for no reason. Duh, that's assault, that's bullying. You know what I mean? But if someone's like, "Oh, you got a green hat, that's my grandmother's favorite color." Oh, now, and if everyone kind of laughs, is that bullying? I mean, someone could say it is, but is it really bullying? You know what I mean? So, you know, uh, there was an interesting story I heard. I forgot where it was. It was at some middle school or high school. Kids were in like 8th grade or 9th grade, and there was this student who uh, wanted to sit with this other group of fellow students. So, but when that student went to sit down with the other 10 students, all 10 got up, walked away, and went to another table, leaving that student by themselves at the lunchroom table. Um, Clearly, that group of 10 didn't want to sit with that one student. Now, I don't know, is that bullying? I mean, it's not nice, but you also have the right to, as long as you're following the school cafeteria's laws, and the laws were there at that particular school, yeah, you can sit wherever you want. So all 10 got up and moved. And so they're not breaking any laws. Clearly, it hurt that one student's feelings, and it wasn't nice to do what they did, but at the same time, didn't break any laws. And, between me and you, yeah, it's a type of bullying. But again, too, like, what, the other 10 don't have a right to move? They want to move. What rule says you have to? Because if you say now you have to sit next to this kid, you have no choice. That's also bullying from the school. So that's a weird thing. It's like, so what do you tell your kid? What do you tell your kid that the one kid, if that was your kid, what would you tell your kid that wants to sit with the 10, but the 10 left? What would you tell that kid who got left by themselves at the table? And what would you tell your kid if your kid was one of the 10 that doesn't want to sit with that one kid? You can't tell your kid in a group of 10, you have to sit with them, shut up, you have no choice in the matter, you will sit there and you will smile, pretend. That's not right. That's the type of bullying. And you can't tell the kid left by themselves, oh, keep on chasing that group of 10 no matter what. That's also bullying. So life is like that. Life is very gray in when, quote unquote, bullying. We know what it is at the bookends, right? Again, you're getting assaulted, or someone's making threats to you, or someone is pestering you after you ask them please stop. But I mean, again, my point in this episode is that bullying is very marbled, layered spectrum, different layers. And I think, again, we should talk to our kids not only about the physical bullying if they're being bullied, we're so worried about that. But what about the other types of bullying? You know what I mean? And sometimes, look, it's a mixed bag out there. I can tell you, when I was younger, and yeah, bullying happens at any age. Actually, it doesn't really matter. You could be 90 years old and get bullied. And again, I'm not talking about a punch or a kick. It could be mental bullying. It could be, you know, spiritual bullying, whatever. But yeah, all of us, right, have had win some, lose some, right? All of us, including myself. I've stood up to bullies and I've stood down the bullies where I'm just like, and I didn't stand up for myself. And then there's been moments where I did stand up for myself. So, you win some, you lose some. And it's not even about winning, but it's about just stand up for yourself. And if you lose, that's fine. But again, no human being has a perfect record. So it feels a lot better to stand up for yourself. That's for damn sure. But, throughout the course of life, I think all of us know that, hey, sometimes we back down and sometimes we stood up. And that's the mixed bag of life. I mean, you have militaries that literally retreat. What's the matter? You don't want to stand up for yourself? No, sometimes you retreat. Sometimes you stand and fight and you win. Sometimes military stand, fight, and lose. And that's what we are. We're just humans. So, sometimes we stand up for ourselves. Sometimes we don't. And I think parents should also give grace to their kids and not really, I wouldn't worry about too much. Everyone, it works its way out. Again, have the conversation, educate. If you have to talk to a counselor or whatever, by all means, get a therapist. But I would also say, don't. I wouldn't want my son or daughter to be a victim. I think if you can, martial arts is great. It teaches self-respect. It teaches also to walk away. The best thing to do as much as possible is to walk away. But if you get put into a corner and you have no choice and someone's starting to throw punches at you or they're pushing you, why are you going to wait to get punched and get knocked out? You can talk about the lawyers and talk to the teachers after. You have to learn how to fight. But you also have to learn how to fight and defend yourself mentally too. Again, someone's in class and they're challenging your ideas. Now you're scared to speak because you might be proven wrong. That's a type of bullying. So teach your kid how to intellectually defend themselves. Teach your kid how to stand up for themselves when their girlfriend or boyfriend is going to be like, I'm not going to date you anymore if you don't do this. See ya. That's standing up to bullying too. Again, parents have to kind of also exhibit that in their lives. And we have to have that conversation with our children. And again, I would say give grace to children who are doing bullying. Because when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like you're a child, you might be bullying, but not even know it, So it's important that they also get talked to and not arrested and labeled some evil bully kid that has to walk around with that scarlet letter for their whole life. Because all humans on earth have bullied in some shape, form, fashion, or way in their life. Don't tell me you haven't. You're a liar. You have. And so, again, most of the time you wouldn't even know it because most of the bullying that happens, kids don't even know they're doing it. They're just doing what kids do. You know what I mean? So you watching this were a bully at one point too, and you didn't even know it. That's my point. So even children who are bullying need to be, taught that that's wrong, and also given grace and forgiveness and say, look, we don't do that. Okay. So you wouldn't like that done to you. Don't do this to him or her. But also we have to teach our children who are being bullied not to be a victim, but to be a victor. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. The only thing that matters is standing up for yourself. And what does that look like? It could be physically fighting back, but not necessarily. It could be, again, intellectually fighting back. It could be, just standing up for yourself. Because again, bullying is not just physical. So anyways, and I know too, forgiveness is a large part of it because I know that kids that bullied me when I was younger, I've forgiven and I'm friends with them. I'm cool as adults. Like, you know what I mean? And I know that even myself when I was a child, I'm sure that I did some bullying too, as a little boy, because again, we all have. And I'm sure that people have forgiven me. Like you know what I mean? Like, but again, it's I don't think children wake up in the morning going, how can I bully? It's just, you know what I mean? No. Adults might do that shit, but most of the quote unquote bullying we're worried about is that kid stuff, And again, all kids, we've all been on both sides of this thing. So anyways, I think conversations, education, confronting it with grace when it comes to kids, And yeah, and some adults too, you got to treat that way too. Call them out. Hey, man, not cool, dude. Nope. That's you're bullying. I don't like it. And they're about, oh, what are you talking about? Pull them aside one on one. You know, so we have to teach our kids that and teach ourselves that too. Like get a little refresher course on what it is to stick up for yourself. And again, I'm not talking about violence, but sometimes, yeah, violence unfortunately can happen and we have to be ready to physically defend ourselves, but most of bullying is not that. Anyways, hope all this helps and good luck to you and your kids out there, folks. I am signing off. Okay, 5 4 3 2 1. Yo, Adrian.